physics or mathematics, you will also definitely going to get some stuff maybe where where from you can take it up to the next level. If you are interested to take it up to the next level, that would be wonderful. And that is why I thought of interacting with you, that this is a kind of a multidisciplinary area, and where we need people from psychology, education, mathematics, physics, data science, that is computer science, and also electronics, like Jyoti Prakash Medi. So, because my collaborators are from IIT Gauhati as well, I have been working with them also. So that way, it's a multidisciplinary area. So as someone involved in teaching and learning, probably we need to get ourselves acquainted. So that's why that way I plan to I have a little bit of customization has been done in last 1 hour. As again, I was reminded by your coordinator that it should not be too much of science. So I am trying my best to make it simple and non-science. I mean, simple means non-science. And as you can see, the last slide. Can you see the last slide? The summary of my talk. Can you just see the last slide? Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, sir.
All right. Thank you for confirmation. Yeah. So this is it. I mean, the nature is complex, but simple models may suffice. This is the conclusion we would like to draw after 1 hour when you stop interacting. This is the aim of this talk or interaction. So whenever you feel like interacting, you just unmute yourself, stop me and ask questions, or you can use the chat box as well to put forward your questions. And I request the coordinator to stop me, because it will be difficult for me to go on and check keep checking this chat box. So it would be good if you can moderate. I mean, wherever I need to stop, he can stop me there. All right. So with that, let me go to the first slide. See, it's a challenge again. Second challenge is that after post-lunch session, for last session of the FDP and then post-lunch. So it is another big challenge for me to keep everybody awake. So for that matter, I have put few videos. So I think that are going to be interesting for you. So I skip slides as and when we require. We will go with the slides, but otherwise our focus would be the videos. Hope that is okay with you. All right. So as you can see, probably someone would point out that you have just replaced this scientist art should have been first and artist science should have been second, as per the topic given to you. But in last 1 hour, I have just changed it. The order is changed, right? And before I come to the main area, so let us see if it plays, the video plays. Let us start with a video. Is it okay?
This is an ancient Indian dude with far too much time on his hands. And these guys are cutting-edge, pioneering brain scientists. Now, what could they possibly have in common? Welcome to the science of yoga and what it means to us, part 1. Let's go back thousands of years to the ancient world. The first mystics would leave their towns, villages, and everyday distractions to find solace in the forest. There, in isolation, they studied their own inner experience. As they looked within, what they found was a myriad of thoughts and emotions, just like most people would. And also, like most people, these thoughts seemed to cause anxiety and seemed to serve no real practical purpose. But with vigilant observation, the mystics found that when they stopped feeding their thoughts, they started to get quieter and quieter. They were quite literally changing their state of mind from the inside out. The mystics in India called this practice Vipassana, which means clear seeing. Today, we call it meditation. Now, fast forward to the early 2000s. Scientists studying the brain and the effect of brain exercises started to make some surprising discoveries. Brain science was still in its infancy, and in fact, up until late into the 20th century, it was still thought that the brain was solid, like concrete, unable to change in its structure. But then, they discovered a phenomenon called brain plasticity. It seemed the brain could actually change. It could be shaped and rewired by exercise. And guess what they found had the power to cause structural changes? Yep, meditation. Several studies found a whole host of structural changes in the brains of people who meditated. Here are some of the changes they found. The default mode network, which could stimulate wandering and aimless thought grooves, was quietened down. The amygdala,
The default node number,
which processes fear and anxiety, reduced in size and activity. Grey matter in the sensory regions of the brain increased, which in turn enhanced sense perception. These were startling discoveries.
Can anyone name these three components talked about in the video? I mean, this is the last session, so most of you must have heard about these components earlier as well. But still, for this talk, as well as to take home whatever we have done during this FDP, I think this is something which is important. Would you try? What are the three components talked about? You may use the chat box as well. We go ahead with this video. You may keep typing.
It became clear that there was something to this ancient practice after all. But it's not just neuroscience. The field of psychology also owes some recent developments to this Eastern philosophy. The mystics of old times claimed this simple fact: with regular insight, you'll see that your thoughts are not real. And the recent success of cognitive talk therapy uses this exact same strategy. The subject learns to see the falseness of their own repetitive thinking. They are simply
Those of you from psychology, probably you are very familiar, and you can elaborate on this more than whatever is being talked about. Cognitive talk therapy or behavioral therapist, what they do.
Interpretation of what is going on, not the actuality of what's going on. So, what's the difference, you might ask? Well, say someone next to you makes a sarcastic remark. This may trigger you to start thinking about a number of possible explanations, and they could all be completely false. For example, she did that on purpose. Everyone does this to me. They're all planning to keep me down, etc. See how these thoughts lead to other thoughts which multiply with each other? The philosophy of Vipassana is to see that these thoughts are nothing more than stories in your head. And as you get better, they stop multiplying so quickly. But don't be disheartened. It takes practice. By the way, you don't necessarily have to look like a yogi or sit like a pretzel to meditate. So whether it's breathing meditation, watching meditation, dancing or fishing meditation, whatever clears your mind is a great place to start. All of these techniques contribute to a healthier mind. There is something that brain science is starting to substantiate, and it's what ancient mystics said all those years ago.
So, would you like to comment on this? Anyone? No comments. Okay, good. So
Sir,
it is, please go ahead.
in Vipassana, we go inward, and whatever thoughts we have created, we are nullifying those thoughts, and it becomes like we are a baby. Somewhere we find out
Good.
that there is nothing.
So it's a cleansing process, basically, and you are not feeding your brain. So your thoughts are just being a witness of whatever thoughts are without being judgmental. If you can be a witness, so automatically your brain is not fed. It's clean, and then you get whatever you feel like getting. Good. What do you think? This picture, is it an art or it's a piece of science? Can you see this picture? Fractal landscape. Is it visible?
Yes, visible, sir. It's an art.
It's an art. Okay. Okay. For you, it's an art. What about this? Art? It's an art?
Yes.
This is?
This
Art?
is also art.
This
Yes,
also
art.
art. Okay. And what about this? What about this? Is there anyone from mathematics or physics? Is it an art or what? What do you think?
It looks like a tortoise.
No, it can be generated through programming.
It can be generated through programming. You are from computer science, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Fractal programming.
Fractal programming. Okay. Because you have seen an equation here.
Yes.
Intentionally, this equation is put. The iteration is made. Since the iteration is there, being from computer science, you have related to it a code, a program to iterate it, and then to plot it. Suppose in x-axis you are plotting Zn, in the y-axis you are plotting Zn plus 1, then probably you get this. Okay, good guess. What about this? Same? This? A little bit more complex. This? Bit more complex. Yes? And here it comes. I didn't promise that I won't be showing equations, so I have shown some equations. Don't get frightened though. We are not interested in these equations. These are maybe interesting for those from mathematics, computer science, or physics who does data science, who are into algorithm and coding. Otherwise, we are not interested in these equations. We are interested in the output. That is, this output is important for us, right? And don't get bothered with these names. This what is it called? This name is Mandelbrot. Okay, this is a Mandelbrot set, example of a Mandelbrot set. But interestingly, this is not just can be replicated in your computer. You can see it on the computer monitor. It's not like that. In nature also, if you see these phenomena, these features, these patterns are visible, right? So that is what is interesting. Suppose this, as someone said, one of the participants said, this is also looks like a piece of art, right? Same with this. These are beautiful art pieces, right? Suppose the computer is not there. Now computer is not there. If the computer is there, I know the iteration equations, so probably computer may be able to generate, right? If it's a GPU-based computer, fast machine, I mean, probably. But the nature is doing these features. If you go to the ocean bed and you see there, probably you find these features, these patterns maybe visible. And interestingly, this is what shows up if you take some relaxed states of your brain waves. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the terminology called brain waves, but even then, let me I will be introducing them here as well. But point is that as in the video it was stated, what the person before doing Vipassana and after doing Vipassana, and maybe one mandala of Vipassana, that is 48 days of Vipassana. After one mandala of Vipassana, if you analyze the time series, what do I mean by analyze the time series? If you take out the EEG signal, electroencephalogram data from the brain and then analyze it, these beautiful features, some of these beautiful features show up, some of these patterns show up when the brain is in relaxed state, not in agitated, not in too much of stress or too much of anxious state. Then these beautiful features show up, right? That can be verified with your experimental data. And in fact, this is the area where people are doing good amount of research as of now. And we too are doing, as I promised, I'm not going to talk about those things, but yes, this is where people are finding this is interesting. This is another example, right? These are computer generated artifacts. That is, you have an equation, you plot them, and you get these beautiful features. But nevertheless, these are visible in nature as well. If you go to a place like a sand dune or Alaska, where you can see the aura in the sky, right? At a particular time of the year, right? At a particular day, at a particular location, latitude, longitude, just look up to the sky and probably these features show up. Some of the constellations, I do astronomy also. So in astronomy, we keep coming across some features, some structures. So these structures, like stars, for example, these are blue stars, red giants, red stars, right? Our sun-type stars. In some constellations, you see these features also. So these are naturally obtainable, naturally observable as well, right? All these features. So this something is Phoenix fractals. So this is there in particular fish. If you are a regular visitor of that TV channel Discovery or other National Geographic, so you probably you can find these features on creatures, naturally occurring creatures in the ocean. So many of these features are visible in the nature as well, right? But they are complex, no doubt about it. So if you ask a computer programmer like ma'am who responded to my query here, so it will take some time to figure out the equations, right? How to do it. But as I said, don't bother the equations. Just look at the output, the throughput of this programming, the coding. This is an art, purely art. This is a heavenly, beautiful art, piece of art, no doubt about it. But yes, if you want to replicate it in your computer, right, then probably you need a mathematician, maybe a physicist, or someone who can do some interdisciplinary, if not multidisciplinary work, and then a programmer. Okay, so then probably you can replicate it in your computer. So, and these are called mathematics in mathematics. I'm just giving you a name, iterated function systems, right? Iterated function systems. And same with these features. These are a little bit different, but these features can also be generated as well as they may be observed. Like in many engineering constructions, you see these features coming up naturally, right? Naturally, if you allow the blocks to assemble, to get assembled, they will be assembling in this kind of a feature. This is a natural phenomenon. This happens like this. Earlier, we didn't bother. Why on Earth they should be assembling in this particular feature? Why? But now people are trying to find out the reason, right? And this area of research is known as nonlinear dynamics or theory of chaos or fractal geometry. It's a geometrical analysis of features or patterns. That's it. So as someone said, that was looking like a tortoise, right? Yeah, you were right. So it's maybe you can call it turtle graphics. And you just define a rule, right? Define an axiom, and then ask the computer to do. Computer will be doing it. But as I said, these snowflakes, these are snowflakes, right? These snowflakes are visible in nature as well. If you go to US, for example, in December and January, you can see them. In Buffalo, for example, in the northern part, you can see them coming up naturally. If the area is away from the pollutants, right? That is important factor though. And same, you can go on. You can go on, right? You can see these beautiful features, right? Some of them are generated by us, our group of researchers. Some I have borrowed from my collaborators. And this is something probably computer science people have heard about, or for that matter, biology and biotechnology as well. These are known as cellular automata, right? Good. So let me share another another one or two important features like the facts, right? There is a Japanese team who was working in water molecules, carbon molecule as well as water molecules. So when they were doing some research on water molecules, the memory content of the water molecules, so they found some interesting results. So in one experiment where in the speaker, this particular syllable, these two words, these three words were repeated, love and appreciation. And in the other case, you make me sick, I will kill you, right? This was put. And look at these two pictures when the water got frozen, right? This is when the water, which was subjected to these three words, and this picture is the solidified water, right? When these words were repeated. And the same was the case here. The water, this is the music was this, the beautiful music, right? This was kind of the famous European composer. And this is heavy metal music. This is the state of the water molecules when they are subjected to heavy metal music, right? And interestingly, probably you know that our human brain, is also consists of 73%, almost 73% of water, right? So whatever phenomena, whatever facts I have shared just now in these last two slides are definitely going to be true in case of our brain as well. That is important, right? So psychology and music, for that matter, whatever implications have got in water molecule, because as you know, even though you probably are not from science background, you know that water and carbon molecules, these are the two molecules that are found to hold maximum capacity to hold memory. Memory content is maximum. So far their structure is concerned, chemical structure is concerned, material composition is concerned. All right. So that is why water is used everywhere in all the culture, all the rituals, all the religious, whether you believe it or not, on those processes. But water is predominantly used, right, to do those processes. And so is the case with carbon molecules, bhasma, right? When carbonation happens with some particular chanting, and if you use those bhasma or vibhuti, right, at particular sensitive areas, nerve centers on your anatomy, on your physiological system, and they have got impacts, significant impacts. This is being proven now. Neuroscience has proven this. I'm not going to share those details with you, but those of you who are interested, I can share, because we also do similar kind of work here. All right. So, as I said, assuming that no one has shown you talked about this brain, let me try to give a glimpse of simple model of the brain, because we are talking about modeling the complex nature, so that it can be understood simply, right? To make it simple is our goal. As you have seen in the pictures, the photographs, the slides, nature is complex, right? The natural phenomena are complex, more richness in these patterns, in these features, more intelligence, more memory content, right? More energy in it. Energy, information, memory, these are synonyms, right? So we are trying to, here in this video, we are trying to come up with a simple model of the brain so that it can be understood easily. Let's have a look.
Want to learn all the major parts of your brain? I'm going to show you how, and all you need are your hands. Stretch out your hands in front of you. See how the skin on this side of your hands is darker than on the other side? That's just like the outer layer of the brain, called the cortex, or the gray matter. The outside of the brain is darker than the inside because it's lined with neuron cell bodies. Cell bodies are also called soma. Cell bodies keep the neuron healthy and functioning. The muscles inside your hands represent the white matter of your brain. White matter is made up of neuron axons. Axons carry information from one neuron to another, but it's important to remember that two neurons never really touch. If you make a fist with your hands, you can form a shape that's similar to your brains. This is how human brains are able to squeeze so much gray matter cortex into the small space within your skull. Now take your hands, cross your wrists, and make the back of your hands touch each other. This will help you remember that the left hemisphere of your brain controls the right side of your body, while the right hemisphere of your brain controls the left side of your body. Look closer at your hands. The area where they touch represents the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is a bundle of nerves that connect the two hemispheres of the brain and help them to communicate with each other. I like to think of it as the Golden Gate Bridge of the brain. Your wrists represent the brain stem. The brain stem sits at the very bottom of your brain. It's the most basic part of your brain and regulates important life functions like breathing, your heart rate, sleeping, eating, and more. This is also where signals from the right side of your body cross over to the left brain, and where signals from the left side of your body cross over to your right brain. Your arms represent the spinal cord. The spinal cord extends down your back. It sends and receives information from the rest of your body. Let's focus on the left hemisphere. Your front fingers represent your frontal lobe. If you remember front fingers, frontal lobe, you'll be able to remember that this is the part of your brain responsible for complex and abstract thought. It sits right behind your forehead, and it's the most advanced part of your brain. The frontal lobe helps you to make plans, imagine possible futures, and helps you to control your emotions. It doesn't finish developing until your mid-20s, which is why a lot of kids and teenagers can sometimes do impulsive things. If you extend your index and middle finger, you'll see the part of your hand that represents the parietal lobe. The parietal lobe integrates all the sensory information in your body. Your sense of space, navigation, and touch all get relayed here. But your brain doesn't prioritize each part of your body equally. Take a look at this homunculus map of the primary motor cortex of the brain. You'll notice that the brain prioritizes information from your hands and face. Now look at the back of your hands. You'll notice they look like eyes. This will help you to remember the occipital lobe, the area responsible for your visual information, and how it's located in the back of your brain. Have you ever hit the back of your head and seen stars? It's because you hit your occipital lobe. Take a look at your thumb. See how it can lift away from the rest of your fist, but remain attached to your hand? That's similar to the temporal lobe. The back of the temporal lobe is connected to the parietal and occipital lobes, but the front section can be lifted away from the rest of the brain. The temporal lobe is responsible for understanding sounds and speech. Here's how I remember this. The thumb looks like a temporal lobe, which is important for talking. If we take a closer look at the temporal lobe, we'll find the limbic system. The limbic system is responsible for emotions, learning, and memory. Inside, you'll find the amygdala, an almond-shaped structure which is located just below where your thumbnail is. The amygdala is responsible for basic emotions. Further inside your thumb is the hippocampus. It's sort of where the bone is in this part of your thumb. The hippocampus is responsible for learning and memory. That's it. Now you've got a portable model of the brain that you can take with you and use whenever you need it. Recreate it with your own hands a few times and customize your model by making your own mnemonics. What questions do you have about the brain?
So I think this is human-centric computation, huh? Because it's a simple model of how the brain works. So have you seen this earlier? Is it familiar? Does it make sense, this video? Hello? Was the video visible?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Yes, sir, it was visible.
All right. See. And are these facts known to you? I mean, was it discussed? These were discussed in this FDP? These things were discussed?
No, sir.
All right. So it's not repetitive. Repetition is boring, right? So please tell me if something gets repeated. What I found that this is something probably as an educationist, as an educator, as a trainer, as an instructor, as a teacher, each one of us need to have a little bit of basics of the brain and the psychology, because it is going to be a learner-centric education now onwards. So everybody, the MHRD, the AICT, everybody is putting hope on us that we deliver what is learners are interested to know about. And then probably it is important for us to know how the brain functions. And I found that this basic model, this simple model, is very, very helpful to understand and to see that it's in real sense, it is simple basically, but how it functions, if you go into the neuroscience or even through other areas, if you want to understand this is really complex. But fortunately, if you do fractal geometry, if you do some fractal analysis, if you look at the symmetry, right, in nature, you can see the symmetry in the brain also. Just now you have seen, right? So just like the walnut, akhrot, right, the brain is created, and every part of it has got a very, very rich fractal information. Fractal means something which is observed both in micro as well as macro scale of geometry. If you zoom in, you see the same feature as you see when you zoom out. Zoom in and zoom out have got same features. If that is true, then you say that this is fractal. This is a fractal. And if this scaling is prevalent everywhere and you have different scaling rules, then it is called multifractal. And there is a particular branch of multidisciplinary research now where people use it as a tool, multifractal analysis, right? This is MFA, is used to analyze complex systems with simple models. That is the focus of my talk. So whatever complex, how much complexity is there, it doesn't matter. If your model is, you're good in modeling it with if you're good at replicating it with a simple model, then it is easier for you to understand and then apply that understanding to go to the next level and detect any anomaly and then predict any anomaly. That is where nowadays, if you have heard about these terminologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning are showing up, right? They are putting their seeds on. All right, so this is, as I have, many of you must have been to it. You must have, probably it is familiar to you. You have worked on it or you are working on it, and it's called golden ratio, right? In biotechnology, people are trying to use nowadays in botany and zoology, particularly in natural sciences. They're trying to understand and they're trying to collaborate with people from applied mathematics and physicists or people from physics being at the borderline of both these. So we are letting ourselves to be used as buffer, right? Mathematics and biology for that matter. But it's all about symmetry, what is shown in the art, right? Leonardo da Vinci's art and these structures, right? And that is true for any kind of creation you can see in nature. And since it is replicable, it is replicated now. You can do the replication quite easily using some basic mathematical iterations, and so it is not very difficult to understand these complex systems. And so is the case with the brain. That is the point. Okay, so just let me introduce one important phenomena. Even though we are not from mathematics, I know mathematics happens to be one of the very difficult, or I would say for many of us, particularly from languages and social sciences, we try to avoid mathematics whenever we get a scope for it. But even then, if you look at the problem statements of mathematicians, the big mathematicians, the renowned mathematicians who came up with these ideas, they are very, very human-centric. That is important. The mathematicians who came up with the theories, very complicated theories later, the original problem statements were very, very humane in nature. That is my point, right? So here was the person, Fibonacci, right? So he had this problem statement. He wanted to know this very, very strange looking idea he had. He said that in 1202, this problem was, he faced with his problem and he came up with an answer, right? So it's called the rabbit problem. How many rabbits will be there in a year if these assumptions are true? That means one female rabbit gives birth to one pair of rabbits, one is male, one is female. If in the second month of their birth. So in 1 year, how many pairs will be there? So that was the problem statement. And he came up with these figures, right? So for first month, there is one pair, one male, one female, then 1 plus 1, 2, then 2 plus 1, 3, then 2 plus 3, 5. So 3 plus 5, 8, 8 plus 5, 13, 13 plus 8, 21. You go on adding, right? You go on adding the first two, all right? So in fact, he observed that this is true in case of few natural phenomena like trees. In case of trees also, this is like that. These ratios are like that. On this part, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why it is not showing up. But you see the ratios here on this axis. If you see this to this and this to this, then if this is 3, this is 3, this is 3. This is 8. It will be like that only. And why it is coming like that? Because if you try to put it in a simple mathematical model, it is simply like this. So the present value of this function is dependent on the last or previous two values. So present value is 2 because previous two values were 1 and 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So present value is 13 because just previous two values are 8 and 5. So 8 plus 5, 5 plus 8 is 13, right? You go on doing it. So, and what would be the ratio? The ratio would be approximately 1.6. That is known as the golden ratio. So this 1.6 ratio is applicable in case of any symmetrical feature you can see, you can think of in nature. And that is true in case of human brain also, because these features happen because of a very, very interesting phenomena called bifurcation in nonlinear dynamics. As I promised, I'm not going into details, but bifurcation is something happens at the ratio of 1.6, this golden ratio, 1.6. Naturally, suppose if you take this by this, then it is B. Suppose this is B. Oh, this is not visible to you. Let me see. Yeah, is it visible to you? These numbers here. And then this is where we stop. So if you is it visible to you? This slide, investigate the golden ratio with this human skeleton. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, audible, sir, as well as visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you take these ratios, B by N, then A by E, A by E. So this is the hand. If you take the whole length of hand, and then this from your elbow to your fingers, this ratio. Okay? This is the whole, your height. Each one of us can do it, right? You measure your height and measure from your waist. Take this ratio. You measure your length, right? The length of your hand from shoulder to fingertips, and then from elbow to fingertips. Take this ratio. You measure this, the whole of it, from neck to this tip, and then from your jaw line, ear, right, to your jaw line. So these ratios will come up to be 1.6. That is the golden number, 1.6, right? So that is known as golden ratio. And if that is maintained, the nature maintains. If the human beings, you and me, if we do not interfere, nature maintains that ratio. That is the beauty. So, but that's why this is a computer-generated picture. That's why this is a computer-generated picture. In the computer-generated picture also, you see the symmetry, you can see the fractals. So whatever is there, this is a triangle, and when you are zooming out, but go on zooming in, and you see the same triangle. So this is called a fractal, right? So that is what is important. And that is where the question comes of this topic, whether it is a scientist's art or an artist's science, piece of science, right? So that's why I thought, but probably it is important to talk to a heterogeneous audience about this, just to introduce. This is just kind of an introduction I'm trying to put forward to you. Okay, so if you go to the human brain again, you see that there are some published works. I can share the references later if someone is interested. Those of you who are working or you plan to work on brain science, I can share the references. But while modeling, they are trying to model it with these. Now it looks simple because initially they were very, very complex kind of an networking systems, and these networking systems are being used in other areas of networking as well nowadays. They are universal. That's why I say that this is a multidisciplinary area, right? So I'm not going into details as I promised, and this is how it is getting deciphered. So as I said, the time series, these are the time series, and this is the picture. This is called fMRI. MRI is some imaging device, some imaging waves using magnetic resonance, and you can map the brain activities, the brain structure, not activities, brain structure. Brain activity can be extracted from this time series called EEG, electroencephalograms. So with this data, if you break this data into, suppose this is a 30-minute data, so if you break it in 3 seconds, 30 seconds kind of, and then you see the features, that is the beauty. Hope there is a slide to show up. Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, this is it. So this is how it is being tested. These models are tested in the laboratory. Don't get frightened with these pictures. Just trying to give you an idea how it is being done. These are the MRI images, right? And these are, when you break these MRI images, when you process these images, you come up with some very, very interesting feature inside. And same phenomena is obtained with these EEG, the EEG signal. If you convert them to time series, they can be converted to time series also. And simultaneously, if you are taking MRI images as well as EEG signals, they both match up. They match up and they show the same patterns, the similar richness, right? It's what we have been talking about in other areas of nature also. And this is the fact. This is what they have found. The brain functions, the brain shows up that this is neither regular nor random, too much of randomness, stochasticity, right? That is also not there. And if you are a normal human being, I'm talking about a normal human brain. Whenever we are talking these things, we are talking in case of a normal human brain, right? If you have some abnormalities, we are not talking about that. So it shows up for a normal human being. It shows up that it is neither in this area nor in this area, but in the middle. And the middle means it's a chaotic system. We call it chaotic system, right? Which is in the middle of very highly periodic as well as purely random chances, noise, right? So neither chaos, neither random nor periodic. It's called chaos. So there is a chaotic system here. Don't go into details, whatever they are showing up. Just one thing is important, that the idea is how to make this feature more looking like this feature, regular feature. How to make them repetitive instead of going in this, how to make it this. That is what nowadays people are trying in machine learning, in artificial intelligence, right? They are trying to train the neurons to repeat something, right? To make them repetitive, to make their understanding repetitive. That's how you and me, we used to learn, right? Our first lessons. That's how the kids are taught to this. Now, I mean, when the kid is introduced the first lessons, the teacher would try to repeat whatever is learned at least 10 times, 20 times maybe. So that is what people are, even still we are insisting that we want to train our human brain to do things more like a robot, right? Which is very, very predictive. It's a robot. But being natural phenomena, so it doesn't behave the way you and me would like to, right? Suppose your pet, the dog, right? He doesn't behave the same way he is behaving at a particular occasion today. He's not going to behave in the same way tomorrow, right? You expect that he would behave in the same way, but he doesn't behave, right? So same is the case with untrained brain. But if you happen to train your brain, like Buddhist monks, like someone who is doing Vipassana for last 20 years, you will see more of this phenomenon. That is important. That is what I'd like to emphasize on. I'm not going into details. This is a little bit of more into it, but one thing is sure, just look at these pictures. They point out the same feature that is important, right? So in nature, whatever is symmetric, in all symmetric cases, you see a similar fashion, right? So that is something can be associated with that golden rule, golden ratio, right? We have talked about, and this is how we defined it: fractality. Like if you just forgive me for showing up this equation, but it's a simple equation. You look at this scale, at R scale as well as AR scale. AR scale is zooming out. This is zooming out. This is a more this is a broader scale. This is a narrower scale. You see the same feature, right? Only thing is that it is multiple. It is multiple K times QR. Okay, the scale is different. Here the scale is R. Here the scale is AR. This is R scale. This is AR scale. Suppose this is millimeter scale. This is kilometer scale, right? In case of sun, right? I did my PhD in sun on sun. So on sun surface, you see granules, and at this smallest image also you can see some smallest size also you can see the same feature as you can see in the largest granules. Largest granules extend up to 1,000 square kilometers, and smallest granules would just get limited up to say a few centimeters. But you see the same feature. This is a triangle. This is a right angle triangle, the biggest one. And same right angle, if you can zoom in, you can see the same right angle triangles inside. So this is called fractal geometry. This is called fractality, right? All right. And since I have used this word chaos, let me just spare just one or two slides on them also to introduce to you what is, because as I pointed out at the last slide, we will be there very soon. But there also, we tried to tell that the nature is complex. That is a fact. The nature is complex. So more complexity, right? So suppose you are not doing Vipassana, you are too much of anxious what is going to happen tomorrow. You are too much of stressed because of this FDP and then some other obligations, right? Right at the moment, you are not right at the moment. You are not here. You are somewhere else. Your brain is fluctuating between the past and the present. You're not at the past and the future. You're not at the present. Then what is going to happen? More the complexities. If you go on the x-axis, right? From linearity, you reach at nonlinearity, right? And if number of variables playing a role in the system is increasing, there are few, there are many, then you see this complex feature. Right? And complex and chaotic can be understood with the same tools, set of tools, mathematical tools. But here, this is uncontrollable. You cannot control this random phenomena. This is something we avoid in science to understand, to study. Anything random, we just try to filter them out as noise. Right? This is a noise, just stop it. So we study these regular systems, but nowadays people are trying to analyze this as the computational resources are getting enhanced. We have more computational power. We are trying to analyze this using the computers, right? But chaotic systems, before this speed up the rate at which the computational resources are speeding up, enhancing up. So before that, even we used to study chaotic systems because they don't need that much of resources, computational resources, capabilities. Only thing is that you need a little bit of interdisciplinary perspective. That's it. So how you define what are the characteristics of a chaotic system? So as it says, never repeats. You saw that it never repeats. It never repeats means those pictures, any of those pictures. So in next slide, you will see that. Depends sensitively on initial conditions, right? Probably you have heard about this effect, butterfly effect. So one butterfly is there, he or she flaps the wings, right? At one corner of the cosmos. At some other part of the cosmos, there is some turmoil, turbulence created, right? That is called butterfly effect. It is so sensitive, right? It is so sensitive. A chaotic system is very, very sensitive. Allows short-term prediction, but not long-term prediction. You can tell what is happening right now at this time, t is equal to 0, but you cannot predict how the brain is going to function after 1 minute, 1 second, 10 seconds even. Right at the moment I am speaking, I cannot predict what will be my next word, right? When I am going to speak the next word, what it is going to be, I cannot predict. So that is how the brain functions. It's a highly chaotic system, right? If something is repetitive, it is predictive. But naturally, the brain, human brain is non-repetitive. You have to train it to make it repetitive. Comes and goes with a small change in some control knob, right? You just trigger your brain with some triggering, some stimuli, right? So with that stimuli, suppose you are fond of having coffee or tea. The moment you smell, right, the flavor of coffee or tea, you are gone. You cannot concentrate what you are doing. So the brain functions at the same time. If you happen to analyze, if you happen to look at your EEG, right, you can see how fast that is going to change. That is what it means. Usually produces a fractal pattern. So it produces a fractal, but monofractal, multifractal. Monofractal means, as you have seen here, these are monofractals. But multifractals means there is more richness in the geometry. More richness in the geometry, more comes where the system is more complex, like the human brain. It is one of the most complex systems. So most complex systems has got richest geometry. But the point is that maybe in some cases, randomly, if you choose, 8 out of 10 cases, you will see that richness hiding somewhere. Only when your brain is relaxed, you can go from at least from beta waves to alpha waves, right? If not theta and delta, these are there are 5 gamma also, but gamma normally we don't talk. Mainly that is probably till now it is visible only in case of some very advanced meditators. Otherwise gamma we don't see. So anyway, these alpha or theta or delta, these waves, when the brain is more relaxed, right? More relaxed, they show up one by one. And the music also, I don't have here right at the moment. I searched in the morning I have in a different machine, but I am somewhere else now, so I cannot show those binaural beats that are coming when you convert your brain waves to audio signals. You can see the music also. That's why I'm saying it's an art, whether it is art, piece of art, or piece of science. We are struggling to understand that. All right, so this is an example, right? Whatever we have tried to tell here in terms of words, this is in terms of picture. So it's a very, very simple periodic system. Earth is rotating about sun, right? So this is an habitable zone, habitable planet. We are very fortunate. The Earth, our solar system is habitable, and their Earth is habitable because this is happening. But just imagine what would be the case had it been like this. These are the two forces where in an ellipse, right? Either here or here, the sun would be there. So suppose this is the trajectory of Earth. What would have been the case for you and me, right? We cannot sit here. We cannot have Wi-Fi. We cannot have this FDP online, right? Forget about these FDPs. We cannot survive even for 1 minute probably, right? Because of this turbulence. So this is a chaotic orbit. This is non-repetitive, but here it is repeating. Earth is repeating its orbit. Here it is not repeating its orbit. But even then, you say features. It is not random, that is for you. It is not random. It is following certain rules. So this kind of a system is known as a chaotic system. Am I audible? Is there any?
Yes, sir, audible.
Please stop me, right? If you find something not understandable, please stop me there. All right, so we are talking about, we started with some, the video was talking about meditation, Vipassana. So these are some facts about that. So meditation is not just controlling your breath, pranayama, and focusing on something, it is just like that, right? So you can be meditative. You cannot practice meditation, rather you can be meditative. You can be meditative wherever you have your stuff. Means if you get something to work on, which your mind, your brain enjoys, then you give 100%. You are at present moment. You are neither at the past nor at the future. You are not interested to know about the future, what is going to happen. You are just enjoying your piece of work. That's it. Whether you are into a painting, into writing down a poem or piece of, or devising a circuit, or into coding, right? When you give 100%, you are into it, then you forget the rest of the world. And that is being meditative. We are talking about being meditative here. And in that state, people have talked about many beneficial things. In neuroscience, most of us are aware of. The stress hormone gets down, the cortisol goes down, and also beta endorphin. And beta endorphin is one of these. In many cases, research findings, they said that the level remains same. At least they do not get enhanced. But in many cases, it has been reported that endorphin level comes down along with cortisols. All right, so stress hormone and the pleasure hormone, dopamine, right? Pleasure hormone is dopamine. Dopamine goes up when you are meditative, right? You are meditative means you are focused and intensity is very high. But at the same time, you are still also. There is no turbulence. So that is the state when you are meditative. And there, all this dopamine level goes up. There are many features, right? Many features showing up. I would like to show something. Yeah, that is there. That is there. These are the 5 brain waves I was talking about. When we are awake now, we are here, right? Alert and working. The brain waves are like this. So they are around 13 to 30 hertz, right? So if you're more alert, if you're going beyond it, it is gamma. Intense and focused. Intense and focused maybe temporarily for a moment you get this for if you are using or abusing, I don't know, some stuff, medical stuff, marijuana or like that, people claim, right? But that is for a transitory or transient phenomena. It is a very, very, for a fraction of seconds, for a fraction of minutes, you may be having it. But through meditation, you can have this state, this gamma state of brainwaves, which are of these are the smallest so far as the frequency is highest here, right? So if you have this state, brain state, right? But normally we are in this state. Now I'm talking to you, my brain state, if you just put some easy, it will be in this state. But if somehow, if I am playing my guitar, I'm dancing, I am doing whatever is my hobby, then it is in a more relaxed state. Eh? So it comes down. The frequency level comes down, 8 to 13 hertz, and then go beyond it, right? When you are drowsy, you are drunk, either you get drunk, but that is temporary, or you meditate. Choice is yours. So it comes down further, between 4 to 8 hertz. And those of the Buddhist monks who does Vipassana for last 10 years, 20 years, so for them, if you measure it, it is in delta, right? It is in delta. It is very difficult to go both gamma as well as delta. When you are awake, you should be at gamma. When you are sleeping, it should be at delta. In 15 minutes of sleep, right, on bed, after 15 minutes of bed, if you put your easy on your head and if you are in delta, if you happen to be in this state, you are blissful, right? And when you are awake, after say 1 hour, if you are awake and you are in this state, you are very, very productive. Your efficiency is highest. So these are the ideal states of the brain. All right, let me share another video, some more information. Hope it is useful. It is very difficult when it is. This is a Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, okay? His research finding, his institutes. Is it visible? Can anyone?
Yes, visible. Yes, visible, sir.
Thank you. See, brainwave coherence. This terminology is important. So what it means is basically coherence means it has to be sustained. If you are in theta state, alpha state, theta state, delta state, for how much time? Is it for 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes? For how much time? That is important. So coherence means they are in the same phase. It is called phase locking in physics. We are at same phase. So being at the same phase gives maximum resonance, maximum energy. So that is the ideal state. So that is what is interested in. Whether meditation does that, that is what is this research is interested in. Research work is aimed at. Similar high levels of brainwave integration found in individuals from different parts of the world. This is called science. This is called science if it is universal, right? But you will see that, and you know it now, that this is a very natural phenomenon. What is natural?
So here we have an example of experience of Maharishi's Transcendental Meditation Program. I'm going to stop the screen for a moment here. You can see on the top, we have the blinking cursor, shows you the left front EEG. The second line shows you the right front EEG. And the bottom line shows you the oscillation from more to less of EEG coherence between the left and right frontal alpha EEG. You can see that the red line is at 0.9, where maximum is 1 or 100%. And so the scale goes from 0 to 100%. And we're going to continue now to see what happens when the person starts meditation. They're not meditating, and then they'll start in just a moment.
So meditation starts.
Notice when they started meditation, it took them about less than half a second. Notice the high amplitude of local coherence in the front, on the left and the right-hand side. And the similarity in the signals, just the waveforms look pretty similar. And the similarity is borne out by careful calculation of the EEG coherence. And let's just pause here. So we paused. You can see that right at the start of TM, coherence maximized and stayed most of the time above 90% or 0.9, which is extraordinary because the normal range of coherence is somewhere between 30 and 40% for an individual. This individual has very good brain coherence, even when they're not meditating, which is averaging around 60%. And when they start meditating within less than a second, they go to that very high level.
This is for the second individual.
And here's our second person. Again, the left frontal alpha EEG on top, the right frontal alpha brainwaves the second, and the third is the relationship between the left and the right frontal alpha, the coherence, which goes from minimum 0 to maximum 1, or from 0 to 100%. And the red line is 90 percentile. And you can see the individual fluctuates. She started meditation right here. You can see she spends most of her time hovering around 90%. There was a little adjustment in her chair during her meditation, but she continues to be quite stable above 90 percentile, which is quite a remarkable thing.
So coherence is sustained between the left and the right.
And here's our third subject. On top is the left frontal EEG brainwave patterns, the right frontal brainwave patterns of the CEO, and below is the coherence between the left and right hand sides of the brain. This is the third individual. You can see that this individual's coherence oscillates between about 20% and 100%. We'll see when they start meditating quite soon what happens to the EEG. Notice that right at the beginning of TM, within about less than a second, there's a maximizing and a plateauing of EEG around and usually above 90 percentile, which is quite remarkable. And you notice that this individual continued to remain in that state, even though they're in a testing situation. Very high, stable coherence between the left and the right side of the front of the brain, which is responsible for all the executive functions, the high-level executive functions. Notice how the EEG continues along at very high levels of EEG alpha wave power as well.
So, what do you think? You need any science to understand this? To have this brain state, do you need any science? Is it only if you know about science, then only you can have it? Is it like that? Because the individuals are not doing any science, they are just meditating, right? But yes, the apparatus which is being used to diagnose, that is science, that is the scientific apparatus being used. But the individuals are practicing simple meditative technique, that's it. So it's a particular technique. If you are not practicing this, you may practice something else, that's it. You may be playing your guitar, as I said, but you are meditative, your state is meditative, that is more important. So being in meditative state is more important to be effective, right? To get rid of your interferences in terms of physical interference, in terms of mental interference, in terms of emotional interferences. If the interferences are there, the productivity goes down. Because our potential is limited. Potential is limited. So efficiency will be up only when interferences are going down. And interferences can be going down only when coherence between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain is sustained. And this is a proof of it. That's why I thought of sharing this video with you. All right. So this is from research point of view. These are the facts. These are the facts found. Increase in theta, increase in high beta activity in case of meditation, increasing alpha also. So more focused attention is there, right? And these are facts now. This is not something talked in a spiritual discourse. No, it is verified in the laboratory. So high beta activity is associated with highly focused concentration. And if you can, at your will, take it to the gamma, nothing like it. Suppose our kids, the students, when they are taking the competitive exam, time pressure is there. Instead of beta, first requirement is beta. But next level, if they can take their brainwaves to the gamma, nothing like it. So this is the tricky area. So those of the competitors who do well in the competition are those who can probably naturally they can go from alpha to beta or whatever sleeping mode or delta or theta to beta straight away, and then from beta to at the peak performance. When the peak performance is needed, more challenging, more testing situation is there, right? They can take it to the gamma level. Right? That is what is important to understand. All right, so yeah, increase synchronization. This fourth bullet is the most important one. So increased synchronization is important. Rhythmical theta waves are there, yeah? And sorry. And so far as the images are concerned, these are the images, right? So you can see more relaxed. There is their activities. This is shutting down. Frontal lobe, as the explanation in the model it was explaining, this is shutting down, right? Their activities are going down. Parietal as well as occipital. So this is the state you are interested in to perform as a human being. That's it. Whether you from science, arts, management, commerce, it doesn't matter. Whatever stream you are from, whatever field you are working in, as a performer, you want to be in this state when you are creating something. But when you are performing, you want to be even more intense than this state. That is the point. Okay, this is same thing. I skip these slides. These are same phenomena is happening, but in detail. These are happening in detail. These are explained in detail. I'm not going into it. Yeah, these are the diagnostic tools, right? So you are not interested, I know. And this is from psychiatry research, right? So if someone from psychology, probably you can relate to it. All right, so these are some more. So after meditation, what is happening, you can see, right? This is called SPL portion, right? SPL portion. These activities are going down, but at the same time, the connectivity gets increased. You can see the connectivities are increased, right? This is increased. Prefrontal cortex, PFC. So connectivities are increased. So you are more analytical. You can grasp easily after meditation. If you do it in a sustained way, then it is more so. And these are some of our findings, right? Don't get disheartened by the numbers. Don't get frightened by these numbers, but just look at this figure, this column and this column. Right? This is baseline mean, means this is the reference before meditation. This is after meditation. All these numbers are higher in this column, higher than their counterparts in this column. So before meditation numbers, values are lesser than the after meditation values. This is what is the take home. Be sure about it that through this technique, simple technique, one can reach at the peak of the performance. And so from there also, this can be concluded that I'm not going into again the details of this activity, imaging activity from not just EEG point of view, from fMRI, functional MRI, imaging processing, right? So from there also, from that angle also, you can reach at the same output, same results. This already told, all these components of the brain, human brain, are activated, are more relaxed during and more activated after. We call it meditation, but whatever you do to be meditative, right? Whether you do art or science or commerce, it doesn't matter. But or you are going to a hill station, it doesn't matter. But whatever you do, if you can have more relaxed state during that and more active state after that, that's what is important. Okay, but I probably have skipped something here. Let me, yeah, this slide is important. Is this slide visible? Changes during meditation, neurochemical changes during meditation. This is talking about the hormones. Is it visible? Hello, am I audible? Can anyone confirm, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, audible, sir.
Oh. Being a teacher, we need two-way communication. See. All right. So, so the unwanted hormones go down and required hormones, wanted hormones go up, right? Pineal gland, or pineal gland, whatever you pronounce it. This pineal gland is more enhanced. Similarly, the pleasure hormone, dopamine, is increased along with melatonin. Melatonin is sleep hormone, right? What you get when you are sleeping. You are in deep sleep. That gamma aminobutyric acid, right? GABA is increased. GABA is related to axons. Axons are the connectors of the neurons. Two neurons talk through axons. You know probably. So GABA is the medium, right? So that is increased. Cortisol is down. So endorphin is unchanged or down, right? Someone claims unaltered. In our case also we found some results. So we have found, when I say our case, let me show a recent picture. I skipped it. Let me show if it opens up. This is a part of our brain, the laboratory where we practice. So this is a simple activity we used to do during our kindergarten, if you remember, primary school. Our teachers used to make us do this as a punishment, right? But this is a very, very good exercise for your neurons to get them connected through axons. So in 2 minutes time, you can reach it. So this is where you can see you can reach at these states, right? More relaxed states, the alpha waves. From beta waves, you can straightway go to alpha waves. So it was observed without doing meditation, simply by doing this asana and pranayama, that can be reached at. This is Eeshankur Saikia. This is our student Kaushik, and she is my colleague, Dr. Navamita Dev. Anyway, so let me stop it here. And I just would like to show you that during the meditation also, I did a small 5-minute meditation to record my EEG. And I just want to show you if it opens, if it goes to that level. Just 3 days back. 3 days back it was recorded. In fact, this was recorded for you only. These are my slides now showing up. So I did a very simple Panchakosa meditation. If someone does it, you know Panchakosa meditation. I tried to see the impact in just 2-3 minutes. And one can see how there are no peaks are there, and most of them are having the same features. They're slowed down, and coherence was achieved. That is more important, as you saw in Maharshi's that video, right? So you can do further work on this. This is what I wanted to show you. And then let me go straight here to the last video. This is important to sum up our talk.
We all know intuitively and for centuries that music is a very, very powerful human experience. And we know that it brings people health and well-being, but we're not quite there in terms of understanding on a scientific level why that is. My name is Grace Leslie, and I study brain music for a living. And I also conduct brain music research at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. The goal of my research is to develop new kinds of music technologies that are going to use brain and body signals and see how we can incorporate these into new kinds of music, new kinds of musical interfaces that are going to bring us health and well-being. One of the most fun parts about my job is I get to direct the Brain Music Lab, which I started here when I arrived. One of the projects that is ongoing in the Brain Music Lab is playing heartbeats to people. What we're finding is there's actually an effect that this heartbeat listening has on your ability to feel what somebody else is feeling. Another student that I'm working with is applying all different kinds of machine learning methods to actually predict imagined music or listened music from having only their EEG data. So what are all these brain and body signals that I'm talking about? I can start out with EEG, which is my favorite one. EEG stands for Electroencephalogram. And this is a way that we place sensors, like the cap that you see here, on somebody's scalp. And these sensors are measuring voltage created deep inside the brain. When I'm talking about EDA, I'm referring to electrodermal activity. This is a way to measure how aroused our central nervous system is. When I'm talking about ECG, this is the acronym for an electrocardiogram. What we're picking up is voltage. And we can attach these in a particular configuration around the heart to measure a lot of different features of somebody's heartbeat. Over several years of practicing what I like to call brain-body music performance, I started out being very focused on these new interfaces that is going to record input from the way that my body signals perform on stage, turn them into music so that I can learn how to use that in an expressive way. I developed a new kind of algorithm that takes an incoming EEG signal and I convert that into sound on the computer. And I learned how to manipulate these brain waves to produce different kinds of sounds in a musically performative way. I started to recognize that the most powerful way that I can influence this brain activity while I'm on stage is actually to pay attention to the body instead. When somebody asks me about how I tune my instrument, I would have to say that tuning happens not from me tuning the instrument itself, it happens from me tuning my body to a particular frequency. My heartbeat might be 70 times per minute. Oftentimes when I'm performing, that will drop very much or rise very much, depending on how much I'm holding my breath as a result of playing these really long notes on the flute.
So that's it. I mean, so she is trying to couple the two, right? She is trying to couple the two. And as you can see, this is just, I have reversed the order. In the first slide, artist science was first, right? Maybe the topic, but at the last slide where you reached, it is scientist art, right? But the question remains the same. And Yes, this is also happens to be fact, where though I can recite, I can chant. So we are testing it with hymns, Sanskrit hymns, stotras and mantras, the impact of that, and some recitations, because I do these too. So she is doing it with music, and we are trying to do it with stotras, mantras, and also recitations. But we are also trying to come up with similar results, similar apps, some mobile apps maybe. So that is the focus area. So with that, I end it here. Thank you so much. If you have any queries, any comments, any questions, I'm open.
Sir, there is a question.
Yes, please.
Is it always necessary to represent everything in mathematical format?
No, not at all. It is not at all needed. No, it is not at all needed to be represented in mathematics, in terms of mathematics. But yes, if you want to make it a model, if you want to understand it, complex system to be understood with a model. So that model, when you want to make it, you need, for example, you need to know how the human physiology works. Anatomy needs to be worked. So you have to have a model of the skeleton. The skeleton is needed, right? So similarly, you need to have some framework. So that's why if you want to put it in the computer and work it for you, you want to replicate, then you need mathematics. Otherwise, you don't need it. You just use the apparatus available. Apparatus is your body. That's it, your brain. Use it. And tool is, without doing mathematics, the tool is, as the claim here goes, you do music, whatever you feel you are good at, your hobby is, just work with that. Just do it. So you will reach the same output, same results. If you want to verify them, then you need mathematics, you need coding, you need physics, you need chemistry, you need biology. You don't want to verify, you want to accept as it is, then it's okay. You don't need it. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, what is the cost of the machine you have shown now in the video 4?
The one we are using comes around, say, anything varying from 15 lakhs to 30, 40 lakhs.
Okay.
It depends on the channels, whether it is 16 channel, 32 channel, with some peripherals. But MRI devices are costly.
Okay. So it is only used for research purpose? Or?
No, for diagnostic purpose, if you go to any, any medical center or somewhere where the diagnosis is done, you can have it. Okay. Maybe clinical psychiatrists, even they use this EEG machines. Suppose they would like to know the behavior, the patterns, right? They would like to have a EEG.
Okay. Sir.
Any abnormality can be detected. Any abnormality, any hyperaction, any kind of diseases like ASD, AD, attention deficiency, right? Autism, ASD. So that can be detected with ease.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Very nice, very informative. Okay, I don't see any question in the chat box.